The Game Awards 2020 just happened about 7 weeks ago, and we're finally back to discuss our 5 favourite game announcements from the show, as well as judging Jeff Keighley's shoe choice harshly. Like, what the Hey everyone, and welcome back to another quick save video, the first in over 3 months, now featuring Vin Diesel. So yeah, as we said in the little intro thing, we're here to discuss our 5 favourite game announcements. These are games, well, we're actually starting off with one that isn't a game announcement, so we've already broken the rules almost immediately. And that is a new Super Smash Bros. Character, I think who had probably my favourite introduction into Smash. So basically the main villain, Galeem, I've played it, I know the names, is in the sky and it just gets cut right in half by the one-winged angel, Sephiroth.
Yeah, it was pretty full on, but it was like, even for me as someone who's not been like currently playing Smash, I thought it was a really cool announcement, and it was a bit kind of out of the blue as well. You know, I'm not in the loop with it, so I don't know whether he was like rumored, but I thought it was a really cool announcement and a good way to kind of get the show going.
I'm pretty sure they said they were going to announce a character. But yeah, diving more into like how he plays, he looks like, because of his sword is so long and there's a lot of reach,
he looked cool, like even just from what they showed off, like his play style looks fun, and I think there's like a lot of room to do with like his final Smash. I think they can make that really cool. So yeah, what they showed off in terms of him was awesome. Yeah,
they hinted at it. They showed his final form, which is revealed near the end of Final Fantasy VII. So the more exciting one for me was Perfect Dark, and it's the initiative, that mysterious Microsoft studio. They were just away making something, and they were making Perfect Dark, which was originally Rare's like sci-fi FPS, pretty much GoldenEye, but I would argue it was a bit more evolved than GoldenEye. It took it a bit further.
Yeah.
And you know, it's kind of weird that Rare made 2 spy shooters.
It is, yeah, and it's like it's interesting as well, like because you called it, Mitch, almost straight away, and I think like when they showed it was the initiative, it was interesting because like you say, we've known about this studio for a long time, and you know it's obviously made up of some really talented developers and stuff like that.
It's basically what Microsoft hoped to be their Naughty Dog in terms of like high caliber and like pushing the medium forward, which is perfectly exciting, pun intended, because Microsoft really need a good, solid exclusive. And Microsoft has sort of always been known for shooters. For them to have Perfect Dark looking really exciting, I think is a good thing for them, because a lot of their games have been missing the mark lately.
With games like Halo or their kind of flagship games, I think they have lost their identity a little bit with some of the latest games.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool to go back to something like Perfect Dark, which was like an Xbox, series, and to actually now bring it into like a modern kind of setting.
So 64 series.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it's awesome. I think the fact that it's a sci-fi FPS, from some very talented developers. Well, I think it's really promising. Like I'm not getting kind of too carried away, where I don't want to get kind of like too overhyped. But I think it definitely has a lot of potential, which I think is great, and I think they need it to be good. I think Microsoft need, like you say, this to be like a really good new studio.
Yeah, and I stand by Perfect Dark being a good choice because when I played the original, it was basically cyberpunk-ish. It's sort of like that kind of look to it. High skyscrapers, break into corporations. Something about aliens I don't remember, but like it's got a really cool lore behind it.
Well, I think it's like an interesting choice for like now as well, because I think we were reading kind of an article that was like hinting at maybe some of the things the story might be about, and it was talking about how it might sort of, because it seems that it's about kind of corporate espionage and that type of stuff. But I think it was saying it's going to go into like eco-terrorism is going to be like one of the topics.
So Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, pretty much. Like like environmental terrorism. So I thought that was like really cool as well, because I think that there's a lot of potential to go into like some really interesting story things as well.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of like, I am pretty hyped, but I sort of don't want to get like too.
You got to see it in action first.
Yeah, I've got to see some gameplay. Yeah,
because like this was a cinematic trailer. They can say all the things they want, but actually seeing it, running like on an actual system, being genuine about it, which is
that's going to be the test. Yeah.
Unlike some other developer whose newest game might not have hit the mark. Yeah, moving on to the next one, which is Back 4 Blood. It's not Left 4 Dead at all. It's its own thing. No, it's Left 4 Dead. So it's made by the makers of Left 4 Dead, and it looks like Left 4 Dead, and it plays like Left 4 Dead. And apart from Valve not being a part of it and it not being Left 4 Dead, it's Left 4
It's
Dead.
essentially Left 4 Dead.
Because Valve don't believe in 3. So Turtle Rock, after making that awful game Evolve,
Evolve was an interesting game because I think it was a really interesting idea, like an interesting concept. But I think in practice, it didn't really live up to it. But I think it still had the seeds of something really cool. So I think they're potentially a good studio to do this sort of game. I think it looked good.
they are the studio to do this game because they made
Yeah.
it in the first place.
Yeah.
You'd say they're the best choice to make their own game.
Yeah.
From what we've seen, we watched a bit of gameplay. It is Left 4 Dead. It's
Yeah,
got a
essentially,
card
yeah.
system which will be interesting. A lot of people are already playing it because of the
Close
alpha.
Yeah.
That we definitely aren't in.
We're not in.
We're not getting invited to things. But if we did, we'd probably play it and go to make a video. Wouldn't make the video. It come out 5 months later, and here we are. So I think if you're a fan of Left 4 Dead, you should be excited for that because it comes out in like 6 months.
Yeah, like what did you sort of make of it, Mitch? Because like from an outsider's point of view, I think it looks really cool. Like in terms of the actual shooting, I think it looks really tight. And like to me, it looks like it's going to be a solid game. Yeah.
It looks like the gameplay is always the weakest part, and it looks
Right.
like that's the thing they've sort of focused on. Like the mechanics of like the zombies, the different types and stuff was always good,
Yeah, right.
and they're clearly not going too far from what they established, which is fine. It has a good variation already.
Yeah, that's the thing I think they got across really well, like in that gameplay kind of showcases. It felt, I think, especially if you're playing co-op, it felt very kind of like tense, sort of like playing it, which I think is really good for a game like that. Like that, any game, sort of survival game like that, if it can do that, it's kind of done its job. So yeah, I think it looks promising. Yeah.
That's Back 4 Blood. Moving on from one thing to the next is the Callisto Protocol, which is made by Striking Distance Studios, owned by Krafton, who own PUBG. But more importantly, it's led by Glenn Schofield. Glenn Schofield.
Yeah.
It's led by Glenn Schofield, who worked at Visceral making Dead Space before he made Call of Duty, which was after he made Dead Space. And this game is coming out in 2022, and he said he wants to make this game one of the scariest games ever. Is that what I am assuming he alluded to, but didn't quite finish his sentence? But like, space horror is utterly terrifying, and Dead Space is completely terrifying.
Yeah, this one was an interesting one, hey, because I think it was announced previously, wasn't it? So we knew that it was coming. But
Did we?
I swear, wasn't this? Oh, maybe I'm confusing it with another game. I think I'm confusing it with that PS5 game that was announced.
Oh,
The one that has.
that wasn't that at the Game Awards?
Oh, I can't even remember now. Maybe I think I'm confusing it with a PS5 game that was announced for early next year.
Oh yeah. The one
Yeah.
made by
What is it? Returnal. Or something.
Returnal.
I was about to say
Yeah,
not
something with the
Returnal, but
weird.
Returnal. Yeah.
Something with a weird name.
Stupid name,
This has
yeah.
got off the which was at the Game Awards as well, as I kept saying.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff announced at the Game Awards nowadays.
So we're only covering the things we care about.
But no, this again, like kind of like you were saying, that this probably wouldn't usually be the sort of thing I'm kind of into, but I think it looked really scary. Like I think it really did its job just from that reveal trailer.
Yeah.
And I think potentially, given that it is from the creator of Dead Space, and it's like just some of the I think he said there's over 100 people involved. Like
Yeah,
it's
'cause
a
it's
big team.
Yeah, because it's a Korean company that own them.
Yeah.
So they must have put, because they own PUBG, so they could have put that money into somewhere. So why not spend it to get a really good game out of it?
Yeah, and it's like also, I think they said they've been working on it for about 18 months, and it's confirmed for like year after next. So it's,
2022.
I think it's, I think it looks really, really cool. And again, like I say, it probably wouldn't usually be the sort of thing I would be interested in.
And it wasn't for me until I played Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
And that game scared me a lot. But it was just such an experience that horror is sort of unforgettable. Like, fear is memorable. Like, you remember all the bad things that happened to you forever. Can we move on to the next thing?
Yeah.
That has got me very terrified. And that is BioWare revealed Dragon. No, but they did talk about Dragon Age, which I'm also worried about, but they showed off Mass Effect. And from what they showed of Mass Effect I didn't realize it until they showed Liara, one of the characters from Mass Effect, which basically says they are forgetting Andromeda ever happened and somehow continuing Mass Effect after what happened in Mass Effect 3, which I'm not going to go into, but there was a pretty solid end. in terms of like it had an ending. That was where they wanted it to end.
Yeah.
Despite the arguments of how the game ended or what you think of it, it had an ending. This sort of undoes that and sort of picks one ending to kind of go with.
Right.
And like BioWare is in a really bad state right now. I can't see how no one who made Mass Effect is really there now. They've re-recruited some older developers who worked there during the golden age, but I think BioWare has shown that how it is run is the biggest problem. And that doesn't seem to be changing. And that makes me very scared.
Yeah, that's the thing is like I'm sort of like not obviously as invested in it because I'm sort of in the minority where I haven't really played BioWare games. But I feel like for you, Mitch, like it must be even like just when it first came up, I was like, you'd probably be really conflicted because like they've made some legendary games, but their recent run has just been so poor that it's like you just, it's almost like kind of like you want them to do really well, but like it's hard to have that faith when their last few games have just not like lived up to it. So it's a difficult one. Yeah.
Yeah. Like growing up, I played as many BioWare games as I could. I love that studio. I love the games they make, but they've let me down with like Andromeda, with Anthem, which it isn't even a BioWare game in terms of what kind of games BioWare normally go for. That was like a cash in on Destiny.
Yeah.
BioWare has never given me any faith now. Everything they've done since Andromeda has gone to shit. And that is why I'm terrified. Like you're saying, I really hope it's good. And I feel the exact same things about Dragon Age 3, 4.
With that, I think Dragon Age is almost kind of an interesting one because I think with that series, like you said, like Inquisition, I think was widely regarded as like maybe not necessarily as good as Origins, but certainly a very solid game. And I think it won Game of the Year in 2014, didn't it?
No competition though.
Yeah. Which is obviously like a bit of a silver lining, like the fact that was, was still like a good game. So it's, like you say, it's kind of conflicting, but you never want to see like a really great studio kind of like fall in that way. You know what I mean? Like, I think everyone wants them to have like a really good game again. But I remember it was a big story a little while back, wasn't it? That a lot of people left. So there was like a big exodus from BioWare.
Well, they lost the creator of Dragon Age.
Yeah, which is like a huge loss.
Who came back for Anthem. So there's not a lot of BioWare left. I'm curious where the story is because Liara is an Asari who can live for centuries. So like it could take place relatively soon. She does find a piece of Shepard's armor, which is the N7 insignia. So you can't really tell when it takes place.
Yeah, I think they were deliberately a little bit kind of obscure. Hey, like it was really just to show that like this is real.
I don't think they know.
Yeah,
I think this is just because they wouldn't have been working on it for too long if Dragon Age still needs to come out, and this is the same studio that made that.
Yeah.
So who knows? Anyway, it is. If BioWare make Dragon Age good, we will get this game. If Dragon Age spectacularly fails, I don't know that we'll ever see this Mass Effect game.
Yeah.
And is that worse?
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, when is Dragon Age still at a stage where it's not, is it confirmed for next year or is it still, it's still not confirmed?
The trailer they didn't really reveal when.
Right.
So I honestly don't know.
It's actually a good time for fantasy games as well. How like with now Obsidian's new RPG as well.
Avowed.
Yeah, and then Elder Scrolls in 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years. 13, I believe it is. So yeah, that's some of what the Game Awards announced and some of the things we're more excited about of the kind of newer variety that we hadn't seen. So I think that's about it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for joining me, Callum.
No worries.
And let us know in the comments what you thought of the Game Awards announcements, not the Game Awards.
The announcements.
Just the announcements. Don't talk about the Game Awards.
We don't care about the awards.
We don't give a shit about that. We're just here for the announcements. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again. Especially if you consider liking and subscribing, because that will let you know that the video is up. And we need a few more to hit 1,000.
Just a few more.
Just a few more. Anyway, goodbye everybody.
And now, the Game of the Year award goes to
Instagram's custom Game of the Year AR effects.